ADR-LINK is a program of the London Family Court Clinic and matches families referred for service to qualified ADR practitioners. The practitioners are not LFCC employees and do not work for Children's Aid Society offices. They are independent, impartial professionals trained to assist families and CAS to work towards resolutions that will focus on the best interests of the child or children.
As we forge forward and continue working with Indigenous nations, we want to first acknowledge, respect, and recognize the deep connection and historical relationship Indigenous peoples and the land we share. With support, accountability, and much respect to the following traditional homelands and territories of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe or Chippewa Nation, Haudenosaunee, people of the Iroquois, which includes the United Nations, Lenape, also known as the Delaware, and the Attawandaron, also known as the Neutral, the Wyandot, also known as the Huron. There are 11 First Nation communities in the region of southwestern Ontario and over 120 First Nations in all of Ontario.
Alternative Dispute Resolution, most often referred to by its acronym of ADR, came into being in 2006 when the Child and Family Services Act, as it was then called, was amended to stipulate that children's aid societies must consider ADR for children who are or who may be in need of protection. ADR is a strategy to streamline court processes and encourage alternatives to court. It focuses on a strengths-based, inclusive, and collaborative approach to resolving child protection disputes and encourages the involvement and support of the family, extended family, and the community in planning and decision-making for children and their families when they are involved with the child welfare system. There are 3 main prescribed methods of ADR: child protection mediation, family group conferencing, and original dispute resolution, which is sometimes called Indigenous approaches to ADR. Let's look at an overview of youth and ADR. All methods of ADR can be used when working with youth. Which method depends on the needs of the youth. Youth who are currently in care or who are transitioning out of care can equally benefit from a referral to ADR. Here are some examples of ADR for youth. A youth who is living in care may no longer have strong connections to their birth family and wants to reconnect. A youth-led conference can be a supportive experience for a youth to help them reconnect in a way that is emotionally and psychologically safe for the youth. A youth who can no longer live at home due to the conflict between themselves and a step-parent may be interested in entering into a voluntary service agreement, also known as a VYSA, with their local Children's Aid Society. A child protection mediation may be a good option for a youth. They will typically be assigned an OCL who can assist them in negotiating the terms of a VYSA. A youth who is transitioning out of CAS care has lost the connection between themselves and their First Nation. Their grandparents were part of the 60s scoop, and they never felt a strong connection to their Indigenous culture. A youth may want to explore this part of their ancestry. An original dispute resolution circle can help make their meaningful connections back to their First Nation. In youth-led conferencing, the process is conducted by a family group conferencing coordinator who is trained to modify the FGC process to meet the needs of the youth. The modifications center around the youth and not the CAS setting their own goals for the conference. The youth works with the coordinator to identify the youth's goals. The youth has control over who is invited to participate in their conference, and the invited guests may include friends, friends' parents, family members, service providers, child welfare staff, teachers, coaches, and others who have been influential in the youth's life. On the day of the conference, the invited guests participate in the private portion of the conference. Unlike an FGC, where only family and friends participate in this portion of the time, the youth really drives this process and is guided and supported by the FGC coordinator. In child protection mediation, mediators have the opportunity to participate in specialized training to make them sensitive to the issues facing youth and to assist youth in creating plans that will work for them. Mediated issues could include negotiating the terms for a youth to remain at home while they are on bail, mediating issues between roommates when there has been a conflict, negotiating the terms of a VYSA, or assistance with transitioning out of child welfare in a supportive manner. The original dispute process is designed to guide, support, and enhance well-being for youth who identify as Indigenous. The ODR Circle is a safe place that ensures the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being of the Indigenous youth and assists them to achieve balance, independence, and full support from all caregivers and Indigenous community networks of services and resources. Many Indigenous youth bring in family members for guidance and support, which is an essential part of the ODR Circle. The ODR Circle always has an elder present to support the Indigenous youth and their family going forward. The coordination and collaboration between all care providers and Indigenous youth are emphasized on personal choice and respect of Indigenous youth's practices for well-being of mental health. The ODR Circle takes on a cultural and sensitive approach in the delivery of counseling, outreach, crisis intervention, preventative measures, evaluation, and planning for appropriate mental health services and referrals to the clients we serve. Just as for other ADR referrals, the Office of the Children's Lawyer in Toronto is notified by the Children's Aid Society of the referral. The OCL office determines if they will assign or not assign legal counsel for the youth. Typically, OCL is assigned in ADR matters for youth. Youth aged 12 and over have the right to participate in court hearings concerning themselves, and this is also true of ADR. Appropriate supports are put in place so that youth feel supported, whether that be in a conference, mediation, or a circle. In the redesign of the child welfare system, there is a significant emphasis on strengthening supports for youth and on improving stability and permanency for children and youth. ADR can be a great tool in a referring worker's toolkit to aid in this endeavor. For further information about ADR, please consult the ADR-LINK website, www.adr-link.ca.